If we can't save the cutest animal in the world, what happens to the rest? You know, the best thing about living with the koalas is that every single day I get up and I have no idea just what might unfold in front of me. Like this day, when I woke up, here I am recovering from being in hospital after the floods, and suddenly I find Bullet. I'm filming him for quite a while when I realise, hang on, there's Hugo. So what happens and who gets away? Watch and find out. Hey, are you one of the 60% watching this video that haven't subscribed yet? Fix that right now. Hit that button. I would like to acknowledge the Widjabul Waible people of the Bundjalung Nation, which is where I live, work and play, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Koala Gardens is a wildlife sanctuary on private land. Subscribe to help me bring koalas to you and like this to help me bring them to the world. I'm lucky enough to live in the koala's backyard with a wild and free colony in Australia. Check out my Patreon options and come chat on my public Discord server. I'm Katrina and I'm passionate about saving koalas. It's really quite amazing how much koala activity can be happening and can be quite close by, and yet I could miss it if I wasn't observing really closely. So I saw Bullet in the tree outside the kitchen window, one of his favourite trees. He'd actually been high up in this tree the day before. I set the tripod up and I was filming him from this spot in the backyard, leaving the camera going da-di-da to myself. Isn't this nice? We're going to have some nice footage of Bullet. And it wasn't for quite some time when I actually decided that I had enough energy to pick all my gear up and take it down closer to the tree that I finally realised that Bullet was not alone and was not just doing a yawny, sleepy, slow wake up like we've seen him so often do. So another thing I learned is don't presume anything. You see, we've watched Bullet wake up on this very branch before and take half an hour or so of half waking, dozing off back to sleep, and to my eye, he looked exactly the same. And yet, there was something else going on quite entirely that I was totally missing at the beginning, but it does become apparent as we watch what unfolded. Please would you take a moment to just hit that like button on this video, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do, because I'm really struggling at the moment. You might be aware that the entire region around Lismore, Coraki, Broadwater and Woodburn, these 4 towns are all within 15 minutes drive of my property, and they are all gone. They've been totally destroyed in this flood. So all of us up here are just reeling with the shock of what's happened, and the simple thing of subscribing and liking my video helps YouTube bring this to more and more viewers, and really does help me help the koalas. And to be honest, if we don't start looking after this planet really fast, we've lost it. The planet is going to be gone. Climate change is not coming. It's here and it's real. And when I look at these gorgeous animals just going about their own daily business, doing the things that make a colony stable and thrive, it just makes me weep to think that billions of people around the world don't really have a clue what's going on, and our governments and the big multinationals don't care. but we can make a difference. I totally believe that to the very core of my being. And Bullet needs us to make a difference. At this point in my filming, I was starting to think, okay, I do think he's getting ready to wake up properly, and was just considering moving the camera down to under the tree rather than up in the backyard, when Bullet did what I've seen him so often do. I've so often seen him sit and take half an hour or so to wake up, and he seems to be exactly at the same spot, and yet within a moment he'll just go, okay, it's time, and he will start to move. And there he goes, and that's it. I had to pack the camera up and come racing down, and he had simply moved down along the branch a little bit, and at this point I started to think, is Bullet going to do one of his fantastic acrobatic tricks for us? I have to tell you, I was actually feeling rather excited. For the first time since the flood hit and I got out of hospital, I had some excitement building in me, wondering if we were going to get a Bullet acrobatic act. The previous day, Bullet had been high up in this tree, and Hugo had been over in this other red gum that's not very far away. So we're looking through the plantation now, across the pink bloodwood, and just down here at the very top of Bloodwood Gully is another large forest red gum tree that the koalas like. So I was thinking, oh, Hugo must have gone away, and I didn't want to go over there and investigate, because you can see Bullet is just slow motion falling back to sleep, and I really didn't want to disturb him because, as I said, I was hoping he was going to wake up and do an acrobatic trick for us. As I watched, he would wake up a little bit, look about a little bit, and then he would just sort of half close his eyes and start snoozing off a little bit. I was hand holding the camera at this point because I hadn't grabbed the tripod and brought it down. And it was quite funny because I'm standing there and I'm thinking, oh, come on, Bullet, do something, because I'm finding it really hard to hold the camera still this long. And I was just thinking about heading back for the tripod when I looked up a little bit, and oh my God, it's Hugo. Like, honestly, wouldn't you think I would have seen that great big round basketball up in the tree? He's not that far from Bullet at all, but I had totally missed him, because one of the things that I try not to do, but I know that I do, is I can often see one koala and my brain just says, that's it, there's one koala. And I have to really make a conscious decision to make sure I keep looking, because there might just be more than one koala. You can see Bullet's scent glands so clearly here, but I don't know if you also can notice when we see the two of them in contrast, just how much bigger Hugo is than Bullet. I would say Hugo is at least 1.5 kilos bigger than Bullet. I would guess Bullet's around the 6.5 to 7 kilo, and Hugo is 8 kilos going on to 8.5. One of the things I find fascinating about watching koala behaviour is that quite often, to a human, there seems to be not really an awful lot going on. But there is actually a lot going on. Bullet is likely quite stressed knowing that Hugo's there. During the night while I was asleep, I'm sure there was lots of activity, posturing, arguing, bellowing, carrying on happening. And yet, when I'm looking here and filming, it just seems like Bullet's sitting in one spot, Hugo's sitting in another, they're ignoring each other, Hugo's having a bit of a scratch, but in fact, there is a lot more going on than what we're actually seeing. And suddenly, everything changed. After Hugo had had a bit of a scratch, he sat himself up and started to bellow. And with that, Bullet decided, I've really had enough. I am out of here. And he decided to make his break for it. I have to say, I was pretty much holding my breath at this point, expecting Hugo to come flying down the tree at him, because we've seen Bullet do that when he's had juveniles in the tree. But look at this. He's nearly at the ground. Is he going to make it? Phew. How must he be feeling? I reckon I'd be shaking. And all the while, Hugo has changed position, but he's just basically having a good old bellow. Koalas always look odd and ungainly when they're walking on the ground, but I must say, I did feel that there was maybe a little bit of pensiveness to Bullet when he was first leaving, and I'm wondering, where's he going to go? Which way? Is he going to go through that garden of mine there? And no, he actually headed right up into my front yard, and I had to take off at a run. Well, I can't actually run at the moment. So I had to take off as stealthily and quickly as I could manage to find out, where did he go? Hugo just settled himself back as though, my tree now, and finally, after some searching, I found Bullet in a tree that's called a leopard tree. It's not an Australian native. It had already been planted here, but it is a very shady tree. I came back around, had a look. Hugo had not attempted to follow him at all. He's just settled high in this tree here. Meanwhile, Bullet spent the whole day just sitting in this tree, keeping himself out of sight and hopefully out of mind, and resting up for the day. Now this tree is right on the edge of the front half of the plantation, so he has got a whole host. There's about 50 koala food trees right there in front of him, so it's going to be fine. And if he can avoid Hugo, then he's won in his own way. And guess what? You've made it through to the end of yet another amazingly exciting Koala Gardens video. So would you write in the comments below, oh, great escape, Bullet. Thanks for watching. Thanks for visiting Koala Gardens. Did you hit the like button? Now before you go, there's lots more great video to see, and make sure you've subscribed and hit that notification bell.